the new MnDOT standard specifications. Christine and I were hired by the AGC and MAPPA to provide comments to the new standard specs. And because MnDOT didn't provide us with any redline version, Christine and I had to go through and actually hand redline them ourselves, which we did. And we solicited comments from the industry, added them to our comments, and then submitted them to MnDOT. And MnDOT accepted, frankly, some important changes, which is good. But they disregarded many others. And it's the ones that they disregarded that we will be reviewing today. And the question to this group is perhaps there's still time to influence MnDOT. These specifications are going to go into effect in December, and I understand that there's going to be a partnering session hosted by the AGC later, I think perhaps this month even, where we're going to talk about the DBE program, the standard specs, and other issues affecting this industry. And maybe we can bring some of these important issues up and ask for a further discussion. But I'm going to start our discussion of these standard specs with a potential challenge to the entire process. And that's because there's a strong argument that what MnDOT has done here is just frankly improper rulemaking. Now these specifications are far broader than just technical contract revisions. MnDOT said what we're really trying to do is change our specs from the passive voice to the active voice. And when you read the specs, you'll see that that's just not correct. What they've done in their they've interpreted specifications that far exceed technical requirements. And because they've done that, according to this case, they've engaged in rulemaking. So in February of 2012, we requested a public hearing be held consistent with rulemaking. MnDOT didn't accept that. And we argued to them that they don't have the authority to make changes to substantive law in their own specifications. They can't overturn Supreme Court authority and say, even though the Supreme Court allows this, we're not going to. And because of the enormous scope of the change, we said, you really need a public hearing because this is rulemaking. So we pointed out that their initial draft, as an example, violated Minnesota law in several respects. The earlier draft prohibited what's known as the total cost method of calculating damages. In other words, here's my total cost, here's my bid, my damages are the difference, pay me. Now, that is actually allowable in certain circumstances, but MnDOT was going to disapprove it. He said you can't do that. And they restored it, that's fine, they took that away. They also said you can't recover home office overhead according to the ICLAY formula that many of you are familiar with. Well, they put that back in too because that changed law. But there's many other changes that still change the law that still remain. For instance, there's massive changes in how you must schedule the project, what your procedures are for administrating the project and accounting under the project. In other words, they are requiring and specifying how you must run your business. And we argued that that's rulemaking. That's the definition of rulemaking. And any rulemaking that doesn't comply with the procedures, frankly, is invalid. Now, what you have to do to make this argument is one of two ways. You can make a declaratory judgment action right now and go to court and say, I want a declaration that MnDOT has to engage in rulemaking before they can use these specs. Or you can wait until the one-off case when you have a claim and your schedule doesn't comply with MnDOT's specifications. And MnDOT says, I'm simply not going to address your claim because you didn't follow my specified scheduling procedures. And that's what these specifications now say. So it can either be done now in a declaratory judgment action, or regrettably, it's only a matter of time that one of us will have to challenge these regulations because they are that extreme. So as we go forward here, I encourage you, keep an eye on what law has been changed and what procedures they are imposing on you that are different in the way that you do business now.